In front of the cameras, the world saw strength. But behind those flashbulbs was a story written in pain, loss, and suspicion. A husband gone too soon. A movement shaken. And a widow, standing before the world, steady, composed, and unreadable. Her name was Erika Kirk. Once a quiet supporter in the shadows of a political empire, now thrust into the center of a national tragedy. And as the world leaned in, searching for meaning, the question began to echo everywhere. Was she surviving, or transforming? Like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. No gloss, no sugarcoat, just raw reality. Before the tragedy, Charlie Kirk was a man on a mission. He was the face of Turning Point USA, a movement built on youth, faith, and unapologetic conservatism. He was young, charismatic, relentless. To his followers, he was more than a leader, he was a voice they believed was unshakable. Behind the rallies, the speeches, the television appearances, there was Erika, his wife. She wasn't the type to chase attention. Her social posts were quiet, reflective, often about faith, family, and the future they dreamed of. They were partners, not just in marriage, but in message. To those who knew them, Charlie and Erika were inseparable, the ideal image of purpose joined with passion. Their home, their friends, their circle, everything revolved around one cause, saving America's youth through faith and conservatism. They were building a legacy. Until it ended. It was late one summer evening when the news broke. Charlie Kirk had been shot. Initial reports called it an assassination. The details were scarce, the motives unclear. But one thing was certain, the conservative world stopped breathing for a moment. Messages poured in from around the globe. Shock, confusion, disbelief. Erika's voice trembled through the first statement she ever made publicly alone. She asked for privacy, healing, and prayers. Her face was pale, her words deliberate. "I just want space to grieve," she said. "I just want to remember him for who he was." The world believed her. And for a time, she disappeared from view. But grief, especially when lived under cameras, has a strange rhythm. It doesn't stay still. Months passed. The investigation into Charlie's death deepened, theories spun through every corner of the internet. Some pointed at political enemies, others whispered about deeper plots within the movement he led. But the real story was about Erika. She re-emerged, not in black, not in tears, but in light. Public events. Political gatherings. A different energy surrounded her. Her once soft tone had sharpened. Her outfits, bold, modern, confident. She wasn't hiding anymore. Then came the moment that turned whispers into headlines. At a Turning Point USA event, Erika took the stage, and beside her stood J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States. The cameras rolled. She smiled. He placed his hand gently on her waist. They shared a long embrace, one that froze the internet in a single frame. Within hours, that photo was everywhere. The widow of Charlie Kirk, the face of loss, now laughing beside a man known for his sharp political edges. The internet didn't wait for context. It never does. Theories ignited like wildfire. Was this comfort, or calculation? Compassion, or control? The hashtags trended faster than facts could surface. But amid the noise, one truth remained clear. The image of Erika Kirk had changed forever. The public saw the hug. But behind closed doors, the ripples were deeper. Conservative circles grew divided. Some defended her, saying grief looks different for everyone. Others accused her of betrayal, of dishonoring Charlie's memory. She had once said, "Grief is sacred." Now, they claimed, she'd turned it into spectacle. Through it all, Erika stayed silent. No interviews, no clarifications, until a Fox segment months later. She sat there, calm and poised, her tone deliberate. "J.D. and Usha have been a blessing to me. I see similarities between my husband and J.D. Vance. No one will ever replace Charlie." The statement was meant to clarify. But it only fueled the debate. Because words, once spoken, can't compete with images already burned into the public mind. And that single photo, of her smiling beside Vance, had already become symbolic. It wasn't just a hug anymore. It was a headline, a narrative, a weapon. And somewhere in the noise, the memory of Charlie Kirk, the man, not the movement, began to fade. Reporters dug deep. What really happened to Charlie Kirk? Who wanted him silenced? And how did Erika's story intertwine with politics so quickly after his death? Court documents confirmed the case was still active, the assassin's motives under seal, the investigation ongoing. But while the legal system worked slowly, the public court of opinion moved faster, dissecting every word, every gesture, every appearance. People noted her new advisors, campaign strategists, consultants, and political donors replacing her old friends. Her social media evolved too, from personal reflections to polished statements. Turning Point USA, once Charlie's creation, now placed Erika at the forefront, as a symbol of resilience. But resilience has a cost. Behind the stage lights, insiders described her as distant, focused, and unyielding. Not broken, but rebuilt. And some wondered aloud. Was this empowerment, or erasure? The truth, as always, is layered. There was no proven scandal. No secret affair. No confession caught on tape. But there was something far more human, and perhaps far more haunting. In politics, perception is the blade that cuts deepest. And for Erika Kirk, the same cameras that once captured her tears now captured her transformation, every outfit, every expression, every word dissected for motive. When she called for transparency in her husband's trial, she said, "Every part of my life has been under the camera. Let the truth be under one too." That line struck hard. Because it wasn't just a demand for justice. It was a plea for fairness, for the right to grieve without being branded. But fairness rarely survives in the public eye. While the investigation into Charlie's death continued, Erika's reputation became its own trial, one fought on social feeds and talk shows. Vance himself avoided comment. His wife, Usha, remained silent, her composure only fueling more speculation. And so the silence became the story. Meanwhile, Erika pressed forward. She led conferences, stood beside governors, pushed faith-based reform initiatives. She didn't retreat, she advanced. And that might have been the greatest revelation of all. That for some people, grief doesn't end in tears. It evolves into motion. In the end, the truth about Erika Kirk isn't about scandal. It's about survival, the kind that happens under the blinding glare of public judgment. She was a wife who lost a husband. A believer who lost her shelter. And a woman who, somehow, learned to turn pain into posture. But the cost of living publicly through tragedy is steep. Because every smile, every gesture, every alliance, becomes evidence in a story the world insists on writing for you. Maybe she changed. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she's still grieving, just differently. The cameras won't tell us that. Neither will the tweets or the headlines. Because beneath the surface of every public story lies something deeply private. A silence that only the person living it can understand. As for the death of Charlie Kirk, the investigation continues. The motives remain under wraps. And justice, like truth, moves slowly. But the real question now isn't what happened that night. It's what happened after. What happens when grief becomes a mirror, reflecting not just loss, but the power it leaves behind? What happens when sympathy turns to scrutiny, and compassion to curiosity? And what happens when a widow, once broken, learns to stand again, only to realize the world prefers her bowed? Because this isn't just a story about death. It's a story about image, faith, and the fragile line between healing and reinvention. Erika Kirk didn't ask to be a symbol. But in the world of power, symbols are currency. And sometimes, survival looks like ambition. This is raw reality, no gloss, no sugarcoat. Just truth, as it unfolds.